For Action News, I'm Anna Samovska. This week on the environmentalist radar, yellow dye. Yes, that bright, sunny color found on your clothing, rubber gloves, and paint. Researchers from Rutgers University say low levels of PCBs, specifically PCB11, have been found in yellow dyes in printing inks, paper, paint, and clothing. PCBs were banned 35 years ago, but PCB11 is considered an unintentional byproduct of pigment manufacturing. ACTIA's Dr. Gilbert Ross explains why we shouldn't be seeing red when it comes to this new scare.
It was discussed on Good Morning America this morning by Dr. Rodenberg, I believe is her name. She's done work on PCBs in the past, and her premise is that there are trace levels of PCBs, stands for polychlorinated biphenyls. These substances were widely used in the post-war era, basically as insulation in electrical conduction systems, and they're fairly widespread in the environment. Her initial studies showed some adverse health effects, possibly related to exposure at the workplace level to PCBs. However, after PCBs were banned, she published a follow-up study and found that indeed there were really no adverse health effects from PCBs, even in exposed occupational workers. When she says she doesn't want to alarm anybody, and then she shows up on Good Morning America, the nation's leading morning news and talk show, to say we have these toxic PCBs left over after they were banned in yellow dyes in clothing, including especially children's clothing, but don't be alarmed. We find that that's talking out of both sides of the mouth, and neither of these sides of her mouth are to be given any credibility, and here's why. Of course, she does mean to alarm. That's the best way to get onto a news show, is to create a sensation. There's absolutely nothing to be concerned about. Our own studies of PCBs, and we published booklets, peer-reviewed articles on the subject as well, including one written by myself, trying to figure out the level of toxicity of environmental PCBs. And the fact is that there is minimal actual toxic effects, although the environmental activist camp is always screaming about any chemical they can come up with. PCBs have already been banned, so it's a choice target for them to attack. It's fine. So PCBs basically are gone, but to have this woman in her group now trying to bring to life the possibility of toxicity at barely detectable trace infinitesimal levels of PCB11 in yellow dyes is very irresponsible. It's not based on science. As I said, I don't think that there's strong evidence that PCBs, even at occupational levels, were toxic to anybody. But even granting that, the levels now are thousands and thousands of times lower. There's absolutely nothing to be worried about. And I would caution everybody to ignore this entire tempest in a teapot and go on with your life and pay no attention to yellow clothing or yellow dye.
To read more on this story and others, you can head to our website, actia.org. That's acsh.org. While you're there, don't forget to also sign up for your daily dose of news delivered right to your inbox. For Actia, I'm Anna Samovska.